Today, we're going to talk about the first appearances and key issues for the greatest day of the week, New Comic Book Day, June 29th, 2022. That's coming up next. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr, and this is the Small Town Collectibles YouTube channel. So before we get into talking about all the key issues and the first appearances and cool covers this week, I want to ask you, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do that now. Hit that subscription button, turn on that notification bell so that you get notified when I put out new content, smash that like button, and leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the video. So as always, we start with our covers, and first up from DC, we've got Detective Comics number 1061, the Cover B variant by Lee Bermejo. I think Bermejo's been killing it on this Detective Comics run with the variant covers that he's been doing. I've loved them all. I love this one. Can't wait to pick this one up. From Marvel, we've got Captain America, Symbol of Truth number 2. This is the 1 in 25 variant by Peach Momoko. Now, I've stated on here many times, with Peach Momoko, I either love it or I hate it. In this case, I love it. I love the colors. I love the look. I love everything about it. I think this is Peach Momoko at her best, and this is a must pick up for me this week as well. Staying with Marvel, we've got Iron Man Hellcat Annual number 1, the Cover E variant by Artgerm. Now, you've seen Artgerm do a lot of covers like this over time. They're always gorgeous. This one is no exception. I absolutely love this one. The one I've got on the screen is the 1 in 100 variant, which of course is going to be very pricey, but there is also the Cover E, which I mentioned here, that is regular price. So beautiful cover from Artgerm. That's a definite one you may want to be on the lookout for. Also for Marvel, we've got Sabretooth number 4, the Cover B variant by Marco Mastrazzo. Really dig the look of this cover. I dig that gray smoky background, and then you've got Wolverine and Sabretooth, going at it. Think this is a gorgeous cover. Definitely on the lookout for this one this week as well. Wrapping up our covers list this week, we've got Grimm Fairy Tales number 61, the Cover C variant by Igor Lamov. Now, of course, this book comes from Zenescope, and when I'm picking out these covers each week, really the ones I add to the list are the ones that just catch my eye, like when I first see it. And sometimes I'll put books on here and then take them off as I'm compiling the list. But this one stayed. I think this is a gorgeous cover. I'm not a Grimm Fairy Tales reader per se, but I think this cover is gorgeous. And if I see this one on the rack, I may very well pick it up. All right, that wraps up our covers this week. Let's jump into our second prints. Not that many this week, and they all come from Marvel. First up, we've got Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 1, the Cover H second print from Silva. Next up, Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood, the Cover E second print from Bill Sienkiewicz. Absolutely gorgeous cover on this one as well. Just didn't make my list this week, but I like that cover too. Wrapping up the second prints this week, Savage Avengers, number 1, the Cover H second print from Carlos Magno. And that's it for the second prints. Like I said, very Marvel heavy, and I think the list this week overall is Marvel heavy as well. Now let's jump into our one-shots. So first up from Dark Horse, we've got Hellboy and the BPRD, Old Man Witter. A woman from a cursed village inherits the family home and relies on Hellboy to make certain inhabiting spirits are at rest. Not a Hellboy reader, but I think that looks cool, and if you are, I wanted to make sure that it was on the list for you to see this week. Next up from DC, we've got DC vs. Vampires, Killers number 1. This is a one-shot featuring Harley Quinn leading the human resistance against the new Vampire World Order in a spin-off from the DC vs. Vampires maxi series. Jumping over to Dynamite, we've got Vampiverse presents The Vamp number 1. Torn from the pages of the hit series Vampiverse, meet this reality's version of Vampirella, the Vamp, a mysterious crime fighter in the 1930s classic pulp style who could give the Shadow a run for his money. But who is the Vamp? Where did she come from? And how did she become the scourge of all things evil? And what is her terrifying connection to the cult of chaos? Join us this summer for a titanic tale of terror, action, and adventure from the creative team behind the hit Vampiverse miniseries. Gotta love those synopses, man. They definitely sell them, right? Make you want to read them. I think that one looks pretty cool. If you're a Vampirella fan, you got that out this week. Now, staying with IDW, we've got Godzilla, Best of Godzilla number 1. Big Bad Monster is back. We've got Since the Dawn of the Cold War, one monster has reigned supreme, Godzilla. Now, in this first issue in a series of reprints that showcase some of the greatest Godzilla comic book stories ever told by a variety of writers and artists, find out why Godzilla is the undisputed king of monsters. And at almost 100 pages, this comic is nearly as gargantuan as its monstrous star. So yeah, love Godzilla, looking forward to that this week. Staying with IDW and another one of my favorites, Transformers Fate of Cybertron #1. The thrilling conclusion to the saga that started in Transformers #1 that came out in 2019. The Decepticons have the upper hand. Cybertron is falling, and Optimus Prime has an imploder, possibly the most dangerous Cybertronian-built weapon in history, to his head. This is the Autobots' last stand. But what does triumph look like in a desperate situation? The war for Cybertron may end here, but the Autobots and the Decepticons aren't done yet. Definitely like that one too. Definitely going to pick that up and give that a read. I love the Transformers. Now let's jump over to Marvel. We've got Thor, Lightning and Lament #1. Thor has abandoned Asgard in her greatest hour of need, leaving the realm eternal in the hands of his half-brother Loki. From Boom, we've got Buffy 97 #1. In this special celebratory issue, Buffy Summers and Willow Rosenberg find themselves trapped in a 90s teen magazine. But obviously it's not just any old magazine. This one's part of a demon's diabolical plan to feed on teenage insecurities. Not my cup of tea, but if you like Buffy, you got this one shot out this week. Next up, and when I was looking this one up, it's #1, it's a one shot, I'm going to include it on the list. And apparently this is 18 and plus reading. Doesn't even show the covers. Now I found the cover. I was able to go in and click on the I'm 18 years old and get this cover that you'll see on the screen right now. But that's K-Woman Midnight Madness #1. And this comes from Basement Comics. It's movie night at the Moon Valley Video Store, and owner Carrie Fulton invites you to join in the festivities as long as you dress up like your favorite movie character. The movies start at sunset. There's plenty of popcorn, pizza, nachos, and root beer. Help yourself and spend the evening hanging out with all your friends. Miriam, Mona, Ty, Sally, Bruce, Kevin, and Lynn, Devon, Joe, Wendy, and Mark. All of your friends will be there, but be careful. Someone here is planning to ruin Carrie's video evening. Who is behind this insidious plot? So yeah, that sounds kind of fun. Like I said, I probably won't read this, but that's K-Woman Midnight Madness #1 from Basement Comics. Next up, and this one comes from Aardvark, and this is another, it sounds kind of fun, kind of funny to read, and that's Giant Size Public Defenders one-shot #1. Meet Fred Murdoch, Cerebrus in really dark sunglasses, the wildly successful lawyer in charge of Murdoch and Associates. If you can pay his outrageous fees, justice can be yours. So that's clearly a spinoff on Daredevil. That's Giant Size Public Defenders from Aardvark. Next up from Boom, we've got Power Rangers Unlimited Countdown to Ruin #1. In this next crucial Power Rangers Unlimited special, Calamity looms for fan favorites Andros and Zon from the hit series Power Rangers in space. Discover their past growing up on KO-35, their journey to becoming Rangers, and the epic battle that changed their lives forever. The future of the Power Rangers saga starts here in this exciting one-shot adventure by L.L. McKinney and artist Anna Chandra. All right, that's it for the one-shots this week. Let's jump into our key issues, and as always, we start with DC. First up, we've got Deathstroke Inc. #10. We get the origin of Deathstroke, and this arc is titled Deathstroke Year 1. The last book from DC this week is Harley Quinn #16, and in this book we get the origin of Verdict. Now let's jump over to Marvel. First up, we've got Iron Cat #1. This is a 5-issue limited series featuring an unknown individual in the Iron Cat armor that was introduced in Black Cat #11 in 2020. Next up, we've got Mech Strike Monster Hunters #1, also a 5-issue limited series featuring the Mech Avengers versus 3 known supervillains transformed into kaiju monsters by Dr. Doom's Eye of Kraken. In a book I'm kind of looking forward to, we got the Variants #1. This is a 5-issue limited series featuring different variations of Jessica Jones as Jewel, Nitrous, and an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Venom Lethal Protector #3. In this issue, we get the debut of a new costume and powers. And wrapping up our list from Marvel, we've got X-Men Red #4. The solicitation reads, Storm faces a galactic Illuminati. So I think that could be fun. I've been reading that one. If you are reading that, let me know in the comments if that's any good. I might want to check that one out. All right, that's it for the big two. Let's jump into our indies this week. First up, from Behemoth, and a book that I'm really looking forward to, and I am going to pick up a few copies of this and hold long term for some spec, but that's Redman #1. The creators of Ultraman introduce a new Kaiju hunter. So definitely going to check that one out. And like I said, I like that one for some long-term spec. Next up, from Sex Publishing, we've got Honcho #1. 15 years after World War III, Captain Donald Stanley returns to America on a mission to reunite a fractured nation and play baseball. This 2-volume giant-sized miniseries written by a pair of Jeffs, Jeff McCland and Jeff McCormsey, Honcho combines some good old-fashioned adventuring in a post-collapse America with its still thriving greatest pastime. A lot has changed since the last time Captain Stanley stepped foot on his native soil, but one thing hasn't changed, is it's still 3 strikes and you're out at the old ball game. Kind of like that. I like that title, Honcho #1. I like the coming back to America, been away, it's baseball themed. I dig that. I don't know. I'm a sports fan, so I think that sounds pretty good. Next up, from Cosmic Times, we've got Takedown #1. Officer Josiah Bledsoe is one of the toughest cops in the Department of Adjudication, but his limits will be tested with the return to Earth of the Star Corps traitor who ruined his dreams and is now the right hand of the dreaded Nebula Empire. Next up, from IDW, we've got Kanto, Tales of the Unnamed World #1. The lovable knight Kanto, his friends Falco and Ritka, and their Malarex mount are returning to the Clockwork Kingdom. But to get home, they must cross a bridge guarded by a mysterious bard. His price? A story he's never heard in all the unnamed world. So that's Kanto, Tales of the Unnamed World #1. Also from IDW, we've got Dungeons & Dragons Ravenloft Orphan of Agony Isle #1. Frankenstein meets D&D. Miraculously revived from what appears to have been a gruesome death, Miranda finds herself brought back to life with no memory in the mysterious lab of the infamously talented Dr. Victra Mordenheim of Lamortia. Though unsavory experiments and flashbacks illustrated by a new guest artist each issue, Miranda will begin to piece together literally one body part at a time how she met such a horrifying fate. Who wanted her dead, and how has she found herself reanimated at Schloss Mordenheim? Miranda will be forced to reckon with why Victra would go through all this terrifying trouble to bring her back. Now let's jump over to one of my favorite publishers, Image. I say that every week. The first book up is Public Domain #1, originally published digitally through Substack. This book is written and illustrated by Chip Zdarsky. A series about the world's greatest metafictional comic character, the Domain, that addresses the battle between comic publishers and corporations versus creators. So that sounds cool. I love Zdarsky. That's a definite pickup for me this week. Also, another definite pickup for me this week from Image is Sins of the Black Flamingo #1. This is a 5-issue series about a flamboyant and narcissistic thief who gets his kicks stealing mystic artifacts from the wealthy and corrupt Miami's occult underground. So yeah, I think that sounds cool. Had a cool cover. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to Sins of the Black Flamingo #1. From Opus, we've got Crystal Planet #1, a vivid space odyssey where Satchel Walker, a man out of time, finds himself caught between desperate factions as they battle for resources in the perilous orbit of a dying star. It's music, and more importantly, the power and emotion that music can conjure, which could bring an end to the conflict, restore harmony to the time stream, and reveal Walker's true place in the universe. Next, from Scoot Launch, we've got Sabretooth Dan versus Brunch #1. Sabretooth Dan tries to escape Brunch with Princess Termagant and her horrible sisters by stretching the truth quite a bit about an urgent adventure. He flies away on his sword, and the fib quickly snowballs from simple pillaging to an intergalactic battle. There are Vikings, the Gorilla Baron, the Three Musketeers, Batazons, and yes, more. Finally, unable to evade the inescapable, everyone has to face the music and their real responsibilities, no matter how mundane. With stunning artwork and story crammed with so much fun and imagination, everyone will love it. Now let's jump over to Scout Comics. We've got Agent of World #1, and that's Agent of WORLDE #1. An agent for the ultra-bizarre sci-fi spy organization World wonders if there's more to life than the creatively violent disposal of out-there oddities. I love Scout. I think that sounds cool. I always read their number ones to see if I dig their titles. Definitely checking this one out this week. Also from Scout, on the Scoot imprint, we've got Wannabes number 1. Jordan and Walt love comics, especially those that follow the adventures of their favorite real-life superheroes. Jordan idolizes the high ideals and selflessness of the more noble heroes, but Walt prefers the street-level vigilantes who punish the bad guys with crippling force. When the 15-year-olds decide to don ski masks and patrol their neighborhood to become heroes themselves, they are easily beaten by a mugger and narrowly escape becoming stabbing victims themselves. Undeterred, they try again, but this time there are guns. And this time, there are radioactive canisters. And this time, well, read the premiere issue of Wannabes to find out. Now, this is one of those stories where you get the first issue, and then there will be a collected edition that'll finish the story up. But I am looking forward to this one. I love everything about that synopsis. So that is Wannabes number 1 from Scout Comics. Nearing the end of our key issues list, we come with Source Point Press and Oblivion Trials number 1. What mystery lies on the other side of afterlife? After his own abrupt death, a young boy, Kiko, finds himself whisked to an ethereal world in the boat of Charon, a deity that presents him with a choice that will decide his eternal fate. Wrapping up our key issues this week is a title from Vault, and that's Mindset number 1. When an introverted tech geek accidentally discovers mind control, he and his friends do something unexpected. They put the science into an app to help users break their technology addiction. But as their Mindset app achieves a dangerous cult following, lies, conspiracies, and murder come to light. Are they helping people or are they controlling them? I love that. I think that sounds super cool. Can't wait to check out Mindset number 1. All right, that's it for our key issues this week. Let's jump into our last category, and that is the first appearances. All these books come from Marvel this week. Like I said, it's a very Marvel-heavy list this week. First up, we have Avengers number 57, where we get the first appearance of Sergeant Zadaros, Soldier Supreme. This is possibly Stefan Zadaros from an alternate reality. We also get the first team appearance of the Secret Invaders of World War II. Spider-Man 2099, Exodus number 3. This is the first cover appearance and possible first full appearance of New Avengers 2099, led by Moon Knight. And wrapping up our first appearances this week is Excellent number 4. We get the first appearance of a teleporter named Toodle Pip. And that's it. That's all the first appearances. That's all the key issues. And that is all the covers coming out this week. I hope this list helps you in some way on New Comic Book Day. Make your selections. Remember, if you dig this type of content, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this video. Hope you guys have the greatest New Comic Book Day ever. And you know how we end these things. Until next time.